on hand here again with the Pulsing Cinema, and today we're going to review a favorite film of mine. It's kind of a feel-bad film. I don't know if there's any better way to describe it, but okay, we're going to be talking about The Day After, a 1983 television movie, a two-part television event directed by Nicholas Meyer. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the late 90s Laserdisc special edition release of this. Yes. What makes this one special is the fact that it is in widescreen. It's a widescreen edition, and it has a commentary track by the director Nicholas Meyer on it. There's some video of this Laserdisc on YouTube, and I see another guy actually has the full movie in widescreen, and I'm not sure if he just cropped it from the DVD or if he actually captured this Laserdisc. I haven't had the time to go through that video and check it out. It looks pretty clean. But in any case, I've been kind of lusting after this Laserdisc for years and years and years. Ever since I saw this, the original release of this, the advertising for this release rather, in the Image Entertainment, their promotional magazine, I believe it was called Image Review, and I never saw this release in stores. I don't think I've ever seen it in stores anywhere, even used. And I eventually picked up a copy on eBay not too long ago here for, I think it was a little under 15 bucks. I think I overpaid on this one because this specific copy, the jacket's all beaten up. And then this guy that I bought it from, he was one of those people who bought into this crackpot thing of it's basically you draw a magic marker around the edge of the disc, and it's supposed to cut down on reflections. It's a big, kind of audiophile snake oil type thing. It basically is just drawing with a magic marker on your optical discs. I mean, it's quite enjoyable, and it's like playtime for audiophiles. But this guy, I never heard it being done on a Laserdisc. I always heard about it on CDs. This guy did it on this Laserdisc, and then on side 4, I pulled this damn thing out, and it's like a little kid. He's obviously messed up, and there's all this stuff all over the disc. Now it's a dead side. This Laserdisc only has 3 sides, so side 4 is dead. So I mean I gasped and then I realized, okay, there's no video on that side. But at the same time, it's just ridiculous. And the eBay comments, the description, he says, oh, you can get some mild solvent and take the laser panel. I don't want to put solvent on my Laserdisc. I want people not to draw on optical discs with magic markers. That's what I want, But but in any case, despite that, the film itself. I mean, which I rewatched first of all, is it's a story. It's a big sprawling story about nuclear war. I did a big podcast on these group of films. The Day After, Threads, Testament. I lumped them all into a kind of genre called I call nuclear holocaust melodramas. Movies made primarily in the early 80s, which focused on the effects of nuclear war, and basically they were kind of a hysterical reaction to the Cold War paranoia. Everybody felt that Gorbachev and Reagan were going to, push the button and drop the bomb and destroy the world. And The Day After is basically a story in the heartland of America, in Lawrence, Kansas, uh, of just that thing occurring, the bombs going off, and you basically watch over the director's cut length of 127 minutes as our cast, slowly dies, and it's an emotional film. It's I'll leave the in-depth reviews and critiques to someone else, and I already did that in my podcast, as I said. Um, what I wanted to mainly talk about is this release specifically. As I said earlier, it's a widescreen release, so you think, oh man, it's going to be this big remastered release. Well, it's really not. It looks about the same as the previous VHS broadcast version did. It looks about the same as the 4x3 DVD release, which is still available. A DVD release which I think was promoted as carrying this Nicholas Meyer commentary, but didn't. It's a bare bones release, no commentary. The commentary is exclusive to this Laserdisc. Uh, but overall, it's a very gritty looking film. It's a film that's kind of a hodgepodge of um, stock footage from a documentary in the early 80s. There was a documentary on the SAT command and nuclear warfare, the Minuteman missile silos, and Nicholas Meyer couldn't get permission to film. He could not get permission from the military at all to film all that stuff. So the opening of the film, anytime you see the Minuteman silos, the interior of them, and the procedural stuff of the guys with turning the keys and all that stuff, that's all from a documentary, actually. And it's really to the credit of Nicholas Meyer that he matches the look of that to the look of his film. The film just looks like a grainy, very simplistically made film, very drab and full of these spectacles and scenes of horror and terror, which are very beautifully rendered. If you could call it that, it's a awful film. We see it in the poster art. It's pretty. We got a lot of mushroom clouds and a lot of people losing their hair and some very gory makeup effects. During the commentary, one of the things Nicholas Meyer says is he wanted people to lose their. He wanted you to see the effects of the nuclear radiation. He wanted people to lose their hair and their teeth, and it's a very ugly film. It's a very, very, very ugly movie in some ways, but just again, it has a lot of historical importance. So it's very gritty, so it doesn't look any better than the DVD. The widescreen in this case, of course, is a Laserdisc. It's not anamorphic widescreen. It's just the black bars on the top and bottom. And I think in some ways the framing is kind of weird. I mean, there's a scene in the interior of a helicopter where the African American guy with Arliss Howard, they're in the helicopter and they're talking about what's going on, and the top of their heads are cut off. So the framing is a little bit wonky in places here, even though this film was shown theatrically, and overall the framing is good. It's great. It's fine. But there is some weirdness. It doesn't feel totally like a film that was perfectly framed theatrically. There is some compromise between the television Academy aspect ratio and the widescreen and the commentary. That was the main thing I was looking forward to, because I've seen this, as I said, I've seen parts of this Laserdisc on YouTube. There's some guy who put up the opening of this Laserdisc, but nobody talks about the commentary. This commentary is exclusive to this release. This was something I wanted to, what will Nicholas Meyer tell me about on this film? And I got to tell you, the commentary was a big disappointment. I'd say don't get this don't get this Laserdisc if you're looking for the commentary, because Nicholas Meyer, there's a lot of dead spots, and like by dead spots I mean maybe 10 minutes of silence, 15 minutes of silence, 20 minutes where there's only kind of an utterance. He gets really silent during side 2, because as I said before, 3 sides. Side 1 and 3 are CLV. Side 2, which is the end of the world, the bombs going off, is in CAV, because you want to be able to do still frames and slow motion during the end of the world. Or I guess the beginning of the end of the world, the bombs going off. So he gets really, really silent during that period. But throughout the film, there's not really that many in-depth stories. It's not like a really in-depth John Carpenter commentary, or a David Fincher, or what have you, a commentary that takes you through the making of the film in depth. Here, he has some sporadic comments. If you're a fan of this film, you'll probably know the anecdotes he tells. He tells a story about how, the anecdotes he tells during the movie, like how he cast Eric Robards by meeting him on a plane, how he wasn't the first choice, and he told his analyst about the film, and he kind of convinced himself that this was a film he should make, and it was a righteous thing, and how he wanted to make it simply, and the participation of all the cast and the crew and the extras in Lawrence, Kansas, where this was filmed, and how he wasn't used to directing TV movies. He was a theatrical director. He was a real movie director, and so he was kind of he felt himself kind of boxed in by the constraints of television and standards and practices, and how he kind of rebelled against that, and how this is his director's cut. And I mean, pretty much I've given you a synopsis, in within just a few minutes of the entirety of the commentary. It's one of those Laserdisc commentaries that nobody talks about because it kind of blows. So what else can I say? Kind of a nice release, kind of a letdown as far as the commentary. If you were a collector or a fan of the day after, I know you're probably going to have to hunt. After this, you have to go on your own journey of discovery, as I did, and but yeah, it's ultimately not worth it. Just stick with the DVD. It's cheaper, and it's digital, and it's higher quality, and buy Nicholas Meyer's autobiography. There's probably a lot more information on the making of Day After in his book than on the commentary track. And this Laserdisc kind of goes for weird prices on eBay. Sometimes it'll go real expensive, sometimes it'll go real cheap. The original Laserdisc release from the early 80s, for some reason, will go for big money. There's no reason. I mean, from what I'm aware of, it's the same cut as this one. It's the same director's cut, which has been always the primary version that's been released on home video was Nicholas Meyer's 127-minute director's cut. He got his way. So, in any case, Day After, good film, just okay Laserdisc with a disappointing commentary track, but you can't win them all.